Well, what up, and welcome to today's masterclass. And I've got one question for you guys. Are you ready to ascend and achieve higher results than you've ever done before as a student athlete? If so, you're in the right place because I've got a great mindset masterclass for you today. We're going to talk all about the keys to starting your season successfully. That's right. How you, as a high school athlete, can get a jump on the competition and be ready before your teammates, be ready before your opponents, be ready before anything, any obstacle, any opponent that would keep you from being your very best. Today, I'm going to give you the keys you need to be able to best that thing and come into your season at your very best. First, let's talk about why this is important. When I was a high school athlete, actually, when I first went to high school, one of the biggest lessons that my father taught me was to start the year out with good grades. And that seems like something that's so simple, that's so logical, right? But so many of us don't do that. So many of us start the year off overwhelmed or start the year off not really caring as much and think, well, I'll ramp up when it matters. But what he was essentially saying to me was, if you put in the work early while everybody else is lunching and kind of just playing around, resting on their laurels, really not in go mode yet, what that's going to do is give you a runway so that as the school year progresses and when the season comes and there are late game nights and there's travel nights and there's weekends with multiple games, you know what? You're going to have this thing that's called margin. And what that margin is going to do for you is it's going to allow you to take some mistakes, to take on some failure, and still be in a great place because you've built in margin. So he was essentially teaching me a critical way to win. And it's something that I've applied to every level of my life, whether it was my grade point average or my scoring average, whether it was high school, college, or even law school. It was about me getting in, doing the work early, and getting an advantage before my competition had even woken up. Why is this important? You may call it front running. You may call it, getting ahead of the game. I don't know what you may call it, but what I call it is a proven strategy for success. I don't know one coach that doesn't want to play their very best in the first quarter. I don't know any coach that says, let's get off to a slow start. So what we're going to do today is we're going to learn how to apply this strategy to this upcoming season. Again, I want to put this in perspective for you because this season could be your breakthrough season. If you're a serious student athlete, and if you're tuned into this, I already know that you are. That tells me you're putting in all the work. That tells me you're grinding all the hours. If you're watching this, this tells me you're even applying the mindset side of things. So why not get the strategy, get the implementation to the when, the where, the how, in order to maximize what we've got going? You've got 4 years. Some of you've got 3, some of you got 2, some of you got 1 year remaining. This year is the year. This year is your year. We have to know that beyond a shadow of a doubt going in. And if we know that, then we're in the right place to implement this strategy that I'm about to show you. So first and foremost, let's talk about attitude, because that's something that can change right here in the next 5 minutes on this call. Your attitude will determine your altitude. And so I'm going to take you today from attitude all the way to altitude, but it starts with attitude. As you know, everything we do here in the Mindset Masterclass starts and ends with mindset, what's in between our ears. This is something you can change right now. Decide, I have a can-do attitude. Anything my coaches ask me, anything, any challenge I come up against, I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to goof off. I'm not going to not take every moment seriously. I'm going to be a new person right now. As an athletic director, I get an opportunity to see so many student athletes that ascend from year to year. And most often when that progress has its greatest momentum, when I'm talking to a coach and I'm like, Coach, that player looks locked in this year. It happens when all of a sudden that student athlete gets mature and matures at a higher level and locks in and just decides that I'm a different person now. All those games I was playing, all those things I wasn't willing to do, anytime coach challenged me, I would say the wrong things. Anytime an opponent challenged me or a referee or things got hard and I wasn't ready for that, all that's in the past. I'm ready now. That is simply a decision, guys and girls. That is nothing to do with working out or working on skills. It is simply activating that all those things that used to bother me, all those things that used to hold me down, whether it was jealousy, whether it was someone talked to me the wrong way, whether it was fatigue and tiredness, making a coward of me, whatever the case, whether it was physical weakness, whatever it is, I'm done with that version of me. That was me 1.0. I am changing myself right now. So what does that look like? First and foremost, our body language should signify that. Our body language should look different. Maybe you're somebody who, when coach is giving instructions, you got this face, you got this going on, you're looking around, rather than the person that's locked in, the person that's giving visual cues that, Coach, I'm here with you. The person that's giving visual cues that I have enthusiasm to support my teammates. The person that is giving physical cues that even though this hurts, this ain't breaking me. Bring it on. That's a different person, guys. That's a person that a coach is saying, you know what, I can trust him. I can trust her because they're giving me the visual cues to let me know that they can take on more versus the cat that's complaining, the person that is breathing hard because that last set of sprints took it all out of them, laying on the floor, the person that's going at it with their teammates in the tough moments because they can't get enough oxygen to their brain in order to decipher what's going on, and they're just blitzing. They're just frizzing out. This is the people that's version 1.0. We're past that. We're past that. The other telltale sign of your attitude is your verbal language. What are you saying in huddles? What are you saying when the opponent starts to jaw back at you? What are you saying when the official gets on you about a hard foul or doing something you're not supposed to do, or an adult talks to you in a way that is maybe putting you in your place or giving you instruction? How are you responding to the people around you will demonstrate your attitude. So first and foremost, let's change our attitudes right now. October 1st is just in a couple weeks. That's when practices start for winter sports for most states. Right now, I'm locked in as I'm a different person. I'm not going to show up tomorrow the same person I was yesterday. Okay. So attitude is the first thing. The other thing is altitude. How high can we go is going to be based on our body performance. Right now, you've got a couple of weeks, and it doesn't take long because, like I said, I know all of you are already doing the dang thing when it comes to taking care of your bodies, but there's another level. I talked to some of you in training this last week, and there are some of you that aren't doing the little things when it comes to taking care of your core. Your core, this is your stabilizing muscles. You cannot move without these muscles in the center of your body. You should be doing core work in the form of ab work, ab work, plyometrics. Your core goes from your hips all the way up through your rib cage. And studies have shown that when your core is strong, you're going to avoid injuries and you're going to have a stronger cardiovascular system. Okay. And that's another thing that we've got to take care of is the cardio side of things. You cannot fool yourself to think that just training, just playing these small-sided games or these half-court trainings is going to simulate getting up and down on a full court, playing defense as hard as you can, putting your body on the line, being able to get open against tough defense, being able to handle the ball full court, and still execute at a high level on offense. I say this all the time. Everyone wants to score 30, but everyone don't want to score 30 because when it comes to it, there is so much intensity. There's so much cardiovascular strength. There's so much dog that's needed in order to score at a high level, particularly when you're known for scoring at a high level and you're going against the opponent's best defender and the coach's best schemes every single night. When this is you have to have gas in your tank and you have to be pushing your cardio. What does this look like? This may be an extra 15 minutes a day running on a treadmill, running outside, wind sprints. This could be staying 10 minutes after practice to get in 2 or 3 10-and-1s. This may be defensive slides. I mean, this stuff, we're not talking about creating whole different sets of workouts. We're talking about adding just a little bit more. One of the things I used to do when I was a pro was after every pickup game, when we were playing games in the preseason, I'd go on the side and just jump rope while I was waiting for the next game. Okay, I'm telling you right now, if you would do 40 burpees a day, either before or after practice, and not in a row, do 10 sets or 4 sets of 10, whatever the case may be. If you do 40 burpees per day, let's call it 50 burpees a day, you would change your cardiovascular and core strength immensely. But a lot of you aren't doing that because you're not only a little bit lazy, but you're a little bit content with where you're at. There's this part in our brains that seeks comfort. And what it tells us is, oh, you're good. You're good. You'll be good. You'll figure it out. Well, not if we want to build this margin that I'm talking about. Not if we want to go in dominating from day one, where it's clear I'm different from everybody else in this gym, on this team. In order to do that, guys, we've got to be in great shape. And you've got less than 2 weeks to start to push yourself an extra 15 minutes a day, an extra 2 to 3 days a week. If you can commit to that, I'm telling you, you'll start your season off incredibly well, and you'll put separation between you and your competition. The last thing about altitude is care. Okay. At this point, you guys know what your nagging injuries are. You know what injuries you are most susceptible to. Maybe you have an ankle that you keep turning. Maybe you have a wrist that's giving you problems. Maybe you have a knee pain or some other orthopedic injury like an elbow. You should be icing at the minimum twice a day. waking up, putting on some type of ice sleeve while you eat your breakfast. When you come home at the end of the day, while you're doing your homework or you're watching TV or you're just getting out the shower, another 10-minute ice session. If you have nagging injuries, one day a week, you should be strengthening that particular injury, whether it's a strength band for your ankle, doing the different type of walks to strengthen and stretch your ankle, grabbing things with your toes, doing a couple sets of pickups with your toes, icing with ultrasound or other forms of ice. Maybe it's an ice block in order to get the ice a little deeper. One of the things I think all athletes need to be doing, serious athletes, is an ice bath once a week. Really more, but at least once a week, because that's going to take care of all that. If you can sit in ice for 3 to 4 minutes, and it doesn't even have to be super cold. If you can't stand it, get it a little bit colder every week. But you could start with just a little bit above room temperature cold. Care is going to be so important, because I see so many athletes that are just like you, and they're doing all the right things. And then they get into the season and they've got to sit out a week. They've got to sit out 2 weeks. They've got to sit out a month. And all of a sudden it kills our gains. It kills our momentum. I'll never forget my junior year. After my sophomore year, I'd averaged 20 points a game. So I was super excited. I had just burst onto the scene. And so as a junior, I came out ready, man. I was averaging 24 points a game in like the first 4 or 5 games of the season. I had a huge ankle twist in practice. And I mean, my ankle blew up to the size of a small golf ball, a small melon, bigger than a golf ball. And we didn't know if I was going to be able to play. And we iced it all week. We did everything we could do. And on game night, I literally made the decision to play. I hadn't practiced all week. I hadn't done anything. But mind you, I had this margin where I was already averaging 24 points a game. I had this margin where I was already taking care of my body at a high level. And you know what? I'll never forget. I came out, had a great game, and the article in the paper the next day actually says something to the effect of Parker kills on one ankle. Okay. And so I was able to take that momentum and get through that tough time, that tough week or two, nursing that ankle, because of all the margin I had built up. And so that's what I'm trying to get you guys to. So we talked about attitude. We talked about altitude. Last thing I'm going to talk to you about today is your altitude. And this is ultimately where you could go. And so what I want you to do to get to your altitude is begin right now today with the end in mind. Close your eyes and think about who is the player you ultimately want to become. Maybe it's a version of somebody you've already seen, but tweaked to your own specification. Maybe it's that senior who graduated a couple of years ago that's playing at the Division I or Division II level. Maybe they got a JUCO scholarship. Maybe they were just one of the best players that you've seen. Maybe it was an opponent. Maybe it was your brother or sister. Maybe it was somebody you look up to who's played the game at a high level. Whatever the case may be, who do you want to be? Start to see yourself as that person right now. Maybe it's just somebody you have in your mind's eye that's just a better version of you. You see yourself as being in better shape, being a better leader, being a better shooter, being a more gritty, having more aggressiveness. Become that person right now. Become that person right now. Act like that person would be acting right now. If I was, let's say, one of the best players in my school's history, if I was somebody who was averaging 25 points a game, what would I listen like in practice when my coaches are talking? How locked in would I be? I mean, in my mind's eye, I see somebody like Kobe Bryant or Michael Jordan or LeBron James, how they never took a practice for granted, how they're the most enthusiastic person in every practice. The level that they listen to is different than the person that's not locked in. How would you learn if you're this person? Because obviously, if in order to produce at a high level, you've got to know the nuances of the game. So anytime my coach is going to give me a nugget about how I can best my opponent, whether it's, hey, this is how they're going to guard you defensively, or these are some plays they're going to do offensively, or this is some of the actions or habits of some of their best players, yeah, I'm going to listen to a different level. I'm going to learn at a different level. And you know what else I'm going to do? I'm going to lead at a different level. Because ultimately, if I'm that person and I've mastered some component of the game, I've gotten so good at what it is I do, I'm going to then have enough margin to give to others, to turn around and lead others. Think about the guy or the girl that's in the front of the pack when you're running sprints. What do when they finish? They turn around and say, come on, guys, you can do it. Come on, you're right behind me. Let's go harder. Be so good that you can have margin left over to lead others. So listen, learn, and lead like you are the person who you ultimately want to become. And your altitude will go to a whole nother level. Okay. So if you can do these three things, not perfect, but just level up your attitude, level up your aptitude as far as what your body's capable of doing, and level up your altitude as far as who you project yourself to one day become, that day will be here before you know it. So let's get into our mindset minute, our meditation minute, and just lock in on some deep breathing. And I want you guys to know that you can also find standalone meditations on our YouTube page now that we have for both athletes, and we actually have these for parents too. So if you're a parent who watches this channel, be sure to send this to your student athlete, as well as some of our meditations that'll help them out before games. If you are a student athlete that listens to this channel, feel free to send your parents some of our meditations to help them calm down as well, because we have those that are specifically for parents. So without further ado, let's get into our meditation. Let's just do some deep breathing. Let's begin to see ourselves as version 2.0, version 3.0, version 4.5, whatever the case may be. Let's see ourselves leveling up. As soon as tomorrow, let's walk into our schools, our practices, our homes, our spaces and places with a new attitude. The things that have tripped me up, the things that have made me mad, the things that have caused me to come up short in the past will no longer trip me up anymore. Maybe it's a skill set I feel like I'm lacking. Maybe it's a leadership capability. Whatever the case may be, my attitude is different. And I know that I am built to withstand and outlast that thing. Next, I want to see myself in the best shape of my life. Any injury I've ever had is completely healed. I'm stronger now than I ever was. Those things that used to be deficiencies are now strengths. And I am not an injury-prone person. My body is made in divine health. It's created in divine strength. And I appreciate that. I'm getting stronger every day. I'm putting in the work, but I'm also putting in the self-care and rest in order to be my best self when it matters most. Lastly, I see myself. I see the end from the beginning. I see myself accomplishing everything that I see in my mind's eye. And not only that, but I am listening, learning, and leading from that leadership position, from that end goal. And so I hope this Mindset Masterclass today helps you. Remember to like, subscribe, and share. And as always, we'll see you in the next video.